Hey, what's up guys? This is Andrew Smersek, and this is our first video with our new channel, Free Will Awakening. We have another channel called Combat Archery. Check that out. I am here today with Brian Norris, otherwise known as Rev to the Limit, to the limit.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop. Come on.
And he has a YouTube channel called AmmoMountain. When you search for it, AmmoMountain is one word. Unless, because we've had
they're not searching for it, bro.
No, they will. It's in the description. If there's any changes, I'll fix it down there or fix it in the comments, please. But we did an interview on his channel. That's fantastic.
Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. In fact, several people have already watched it, so be one of them.
Yeah,
Maybe the first to the party, almost.
I had a great time. I've had a great time this whole time. I'm up here in North Carolina. Brian's a part of the Prepared Patriot NC crew, and so they do training up here, and we got to role play for their first Force on Force class, which you need to contact them and demand that they have more of them, because it was fantastic. It exceeded my expectations in every way. But anyways, I got to hang out with Rev. I got to learn a lot.
I got to hang out with you, man. You're selling that script opposite of the way that it actually is. So like, there are the cool kids and they're the nerds. You are the cool kids. I'm the nerd. So I perpetually, it's all about, I've gotten to hang out with you. I don't know if you know, I just told your significant missus upstairs that like, you're losing your credibility. You're losing your cool points right now. I don't know if you know that, but like all your cred's going out the window.
No, so. No, all that is true about you, man. Like I sort of like
total nerd. Yeah, he's right. Nerd. All that I just said is true about me. I'm the nerd. You're the cool kid. I'm glad you agree.
I know. If you knew the amount of junk I know about Star Wars.
Come on, son.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're starting this channel. You know, kind of to change culture, right? That's
you and Ashley.
Yeah,
okay.
I want her to be included on it, so hopefully she does a lot with it.
Nice. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, because we're so aligned with our values and stuff, and we're like, man, like there's a lot of stuff that we wish we knew before, that we wish more people knew about. So that's why we're doing it. Okay. And so part of what's going on with me right now is I'm stepping back into Christianity, back into faith. It wasn't like oh, I'm leaving that sort of thing or anything like that. It's just like I wasn't really doing it.
Right.
So when I found out that like you were a part of the Prepared Patriot crew, I was like, oh, whoa! Like I knew you from the interviews you did with Yeager, and I'd seen that, right? So I was like,
another guy who's super cool that was willing to hang out with a nerd. So super grateful to one of our mentors and friends, James Yeager, for all of his influence in our lives.
Absolutely, he put me on my path, the direction I'm going. Like
that's awesome.
I give credit to him for that. Absolutely, completely changed my mindset and everything. But so when I found out about you on there, I was like, whoa. So there's a dude who's working, spreading the word of Christianity, and I don't really understand it all, but I'm like, but that's cool that he is also doing the training. He's on the gun side, because it's like, you just don't see that in many people in general, and the fact that it's like, I feel like on many levels I can relate to you and hang out with you.
Oh, cool.
And so
we've had a good time.
Oh yeah, and we stayed up till 3 a.m. the other day. And he was just answering my questions, and and I really wish I could have recorded, but he did make good points. Like, when it's off camera, it's like it's more personal, and you're able to let out more. So
I just want you to be able to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Which, truthfully, now that I know you and I know myself, we probably could have.
Yeah.
Do you want me to? You want to just leave?
No.
Okay.
It's fine.
A light just turned off. That's what's happening. We are now progressively in greater darkness. It's just a spirit of the age thing. So. And I don't know if you wanted to. Oh, anyway, never mind. So yeah, it was good. I think when we were getting to know each other, you should have the freedom to ask whatever you want about not only the principle but the way that it impacts your life and where you're at personally, without any concern for what somebody might think or who might hear it or whatever. Like, you just need to be 100% authentic in those kind of situations, I think. And I don't want to ever be like, hey, we're doing this to sell something or promote something. Like I'm a Christian, I follow Jesus. That's not a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So, in fact, if somebody has their, like, fish, Evan and I were just talking about this, if somebody has, like, a fish or, like, Christian something, like mechanics, or most of the time, there are probably some exceptions out there. If you're the exception, I'm sorry. But I kind of avoid those like the plague, because if somebody needs to use something like that to say, I'm doing good, ethical, honest work, there's something, forgive the pun, fishy about that, you know? It's just like not necessary. So, like, if you're following Jesus, you can just be honest because that's who you are. You don't have to, like, sell on it or trade on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, so me stepping back in to faith, and there's like a lot of things I just don't understand. I tried, when I was going to church on my own and going to like a Bible study with a group of dudes, and it, like, there's a lot of things where I'm like, okay, that's good, and there's something that's just didn't quite click. So being able to go over all that with Brian, with Rev,
Brian's
to
fine.
live it. Yeah. it was fantastic.
He's also being a little bit, like, falsely humble here. Like, I think you're being honest, but, like, dude's brilliant. Like, he like there weren't any, like, resistance points with, like, oh, I need this explained, like, more simply. Like, the guy's like, just come on, man. Like, there's not anything you needed from me that you weren't reading and figuring out for yourself ultimately. Maybe we fast-tracked a couple things. Maybe we said something but the reality is
there's a lot
he was already doing this.
There's a lot I learned. There's a lot and it's solidified.
Yeah, solidified.
That's
a good
big
word.
thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, so since I have the opportunity, I wanted to get your perspective on a lot of things.
Okay, cool.
So, like, you're a father now, so you're raising a family, and your kids are phenomenal. They're like,
don't tell them that yet.
Okay, I really
They're doing
have a
great.
lot of respect for what you guys have done.
Thank you, man.
Have done a fantastic job.
You haven't seen them shoot yet. We're doing good in some areas, and we got some work to do.
I'm
in some
sure
other areas.
they'll get there.
Yeah.
But and then. So, like, and this is where it's like I don't even know, like, the difference between what the titles are, but you're a reverend, correct?
Okay.
So, like,
Sure.
I don't understand the difference.
I am an ordained minister of God. So is James Yeager, by the way.
Okay.
Yeager got ordained to be the officiant for, I think, Billy Birdsell, his friends. So I always be like, yeah. So Pastor James,
Okay.
But yeah. So not to throw shade to Yeager's ordaining, but that's a little, like, anybody can go get ordained pretty quickly for that kind of purpose.
Okay.
So I went, like, I'm ordained in the traditional sense of doing the work for the job that, anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that doesn't, in other words, that doesn't mean that much in today's society anymore, unless you're in certain denominations or spheres of influence where it still carries weight.
Okay.
So
I
did it the hard way.
A minister, and you've been doing it for a long time, and then also you're a part of the gun culture, not community. He's not a gun owner. He's a dude who trains in, like,
less than I should, but working on it.
There's more certs up there on that wall than a lot of instructors I know.
Okay, cool.
Like, that means something. Something real. And so, got some questions, and then we're just going to be having talking points, right? Kind of like we did the other day. But free will. Okay, now, we were discussing it earlier.
And you said the name of this channel is going to be Free Will Awakening, right?
Yes.
Ooh, spooky, man.
I know. I thought it sounded good. And, free will is something that we don't all we don't really all understand. So what does free will mean to you? And both like you as a man, you know, a father, and then as a Christian.
Okay. If you're in the Christian community, that's kind of a loaded term.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few buckets, and as you read widely, and I know that you already have some, they're kind of different buckets of what I would call kind of a continuum of the same conversation, but in like spiritual categories and in more human philosophical categories, and those lines diverge and they cross over at different places. So it's kind of a weird conversation depending on what somebody means. I think your channel is more, if I'm understanding you right, more talking about like the broader bucket, like all humans, not just people that are in a Christian conversation kind of. So if you're talking about that kind of philosophical free will, that are like freedom,
as a man, right?
A synonym would be the ability to live freely, or personal autonomy, or individualism. But individualism is probably a mistake because as a society in the West, we can become overly individualistic. We should hold to individual freedom, like as in nobody can cross your freedom unless your freedom is negatively impacting somebody else's.
Yeah,
you know,
like
a libertarian kind of perspective, right? Like, I mean, not
even anarchist. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
A liberty perspective. Let's
Yes.
so that we don't have the labels on it, right? So that kind of view is super useful, but it should not carry somebody to the point of thinking that they are self-sufficient. Like, you should work towards self-sufficiency, but recognize that you need a group of people that are also taking the responsibility of their lives seriously, because there are going to be areas where you need a community or a culture. You need other people. To nobody gets where they're going alone. Everybody can go farther with a team.
Yes.
If it's the right team.
Right. It was very much like what you guys have built here.
Which is what. So it's an important thing to recognize where you're strong and where you're weak, and not be deluded. Yeah. So like when I don't know if we're talking about what you want to talk about, but
no,
if you want to have free will in the foundational sense, you have to have an understanding of personal responsibility, and that personal responsibility has to drive you to a place where you understand your weakness as well as your strength. So that freedom you can't just be free and therefore only think of yourself in the strong categories. You have to be free enough to know what you need to be a positive contributor, so that you're not crossing somebody else's freedom, right? Because if you just think of your freedom exclusively, you will get to the place where your freedom is negatively impacting your neighbors, right? So you have to, there's a tension, there's a natural tension to having your personal autonomy and recognizing that personal autonomy exists within the parameters of a broader society or community. If other humans are alive on Earth. Now there are some of our friends that like I think Yeager had the last real man on Earth in the beginning of his podcast or something. So if you get to that place,
last true free men on, or
something like that. So if you
last real men on planet Earth.
So if you get to that place where that's the actual thing that's happening, then all this is out the window. Yeah. You know, like, I mean, if it's all over and you're just one man.
I mean, no, there's, even if you're the last man on Earth, right? And this is actually going a little bit further than I thought, but if you're the last man on Earth, you still do need to recognize your strengths and weaknesses.
Sure.
You know, because like,
I'm just saying, not necessarily in the realm of how they relate to others. My reason for understanding my strengths and weaknesses is me not crossing off the freedom of somebody else. Me not counteract. If that other person doesn't exist, then I don't have to worry about that anymore. You know. So
absolutely.
So free will is just freedom or liberty. there's more to the conversation than that, but I think that's a probably simple, good jumping off point.
Now, how about as a Christian trying to follow God?
So it's a false dichotomy, but the big camps tend to be the free will people. They're often called Arminians,
Okay.
right? And the sovereignty of God people, who are often called Calvinists. So in philosophical language, the Calvinists would be closer to the determinism side of things, right? So I think that Bible-believing Christians can hold a tension that understands that God is sovereign over all, that He is not only all-powerful, but so sovereignty is that that He knows all and is in ultimate control of all. And then sometimes even within that statement that is true, that it seems illogical for us, but people are responsible for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you are made, and you are made inside a context that God is in complete control over ultimately, that He is giving you personal responsibility. He wants you to choose Him, but He's not going to force Himself on you, right? So but the hard thing is the Calvinist side, and stop me if I'm going down the rabbit. The Calvinist side of the conversation would say that men are by nature evil. They would use the term they're totally depraved.
Yeah.
Right? And because they're totally depraved, what they'll do with their free will is choose destructiveness or sinfulness every time. Like we choose the wrong. Like we said it in our conversation that you'll go farther, like you can do evil way beyond what you thought you ever could.
Yeah.
And anybody that's honest enough with themselves to kind of look in the mirror will say, oh, I could do some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
I could do some stuff that is not in the good way.
Yeah.
Like not in the way of, oh, I could protect people. I could mess some stuff up if they mess with my family. I mean, I could be the one who's causing destructiveness. I could be the one that needs to be stopped. You know, like, and that's in us all.
Yeah.
And I think it's a mistake to say otherwise, right?
Yeah,
So they're right in that way.
I had a company commander when I was in the Marine Corps, and you know, something happened with one of the Marines, and like I don't really think that the story is the way it went. You know, I think because I never could see that in that man. I think he's a good man. However, you know, he got in trouble, and it wasn't so much condemning him, right? It's just when it happened, he talked to us, and he said, you know, I believe there is darkness in all humans. You know, I think we all have it within us, and we just need to learn, like, you know, a good way to live, a good way to not have that come out. And kind of to your point, it's like, yeah, it is within all of us, and we are always trying to be the best person we can. Like, even when we start to slide. But, you know, when it comes to like a situation where it's like, you know, are you willing to give your life in defense of others? Okay, and then what would you do to feed your kids? You know, there's things like that is you know, like, man, this just got deep. Let me bring the tension by laughing.
So the flip side of the theological conversation.
Yeah.
Like, so the other side is, so we're talking about how naturally evil men can be.
Yeah. And
how that is accessible to everyone. That if we're honest, we are evil.
Yeah.
We do evil things, and that's the definition of, but we weren't created for that purpose. So the Bible, the theological, and man, I never thought I would say this on YouTube or get into this conversation. Like, I mean, maybe if I did like a channel about this, but this is like, so that idea is the imago Dei, or the image of God in all people, all humans. The thing that separates the human value apart from the rest of the created order or of animals, or is that God has made people in His image. And that's specifically saying that humans were created to hold innate value. That all humans have this purpose for good, this purpose for communing with the divine, this purpose to be reconnected to their intention, their design, right? So that thing is the good, the potential in mankind. So those two things are not at ultimate odds, because God is outside of our logic in some ways, right? So the total depravity of man and the image of God in man are hand in glove, in my opinion.
Okay.
So like, to make them a false dichotomy, or to say, well, I'm here or I'm here, is a mistake. And so church historians have kind of woven those ideas together that say, if you're willing to recognize your evil, God is willing to connect you to your purpose, because you are designed for more. You're designed to reflect the relationship, the good personhood of God into the world. You're designed to be like, the picture is you're a broken mirror that's been remade to reflect the image of God out into the world, right?
It's so funny you use the word mirror, because like literally I was just thinking as you were talking, like one of those moments where you may be down or something and you look at yourself in the mirror, and that image of seeing your own face and those emotions and what's going through you in that moment, what that feels like, and kind of like reflecting on, hey, I know what I'm doing, I know what I should be doing.
Right. So James, the brother of Jesus, talking about following Jesus, which you have to understand, James didn't believe Jesus was who he said he was until after he died and rose to new life. So James is like, yeah, my brother's a cool guy, but like, come on, what are y'all all following him and calling him like the Son of God for? You know, like you know, so
Which is probably any brother would do.
but he became like one of the leaders of the early church after Jesus' his ascension. So James is describing this idea that we're talking about, following his brother and as divine, right? He says it's like looking into a mirror and forgetting what manner of and then and seeing that there's something there, some weakness that you need to address. And he says, and then you turn and go about your way, and you forget what manner of man you are immediately. Like, so you look in a glass, you behold yourself, you see the reality of who you are, but then you turn and go about your day and forget about it. The intention is for us to look into what the Bible is called the perfect law of liberty, or the thing that reflects who the purpose of man, that's perfectly imaged in the incarnate God-man, Jesus, and say, okay, this is the prototype for humanity. So I look in that, I contrast it with myself. I don't compare myself to other people. That's the definition of being unwise, comparing yourselves among yourselves. I'm better than him, so I'm okay. Right? That's not
I've done that many times.
That's not the standard. And as long as you surround yourself with people that have more brokenness than yourself, you feel good.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not the real standard. So we have this prototype for humanity, that this is what you're purposed for. This is kind of a perfect version. And we're not saying that you're going to achieve that, but let's aim high, or to use our language, let's aim small, miss small. You know, like and that's why the definition of sin or brokenness in the Bible is to miss the mark, to miss the target, literally. If you look at my channel and you see the little X, like that's the Chi, the early church. I'm sorry to ramble here, but the early church used the Chi, the X, which is the first letter of Christ, to say, I'm a person of the way, I'm a person of the path. So that scratch it out on the ground when they're being attacked and persecuted, to identify to another Christian, I'm a Jesus dude, right? So that's following him. That's saying he's the definition, he's the standard. We all fall short of that, but he will infuse us with his life. Like, we can live by his strength if we'll recognize our weakness. So we see the image of God, that's our purpose. We recognize our brokenness. All we have to do is admit that we have the tendency for evil, for him to step in and infuse us with his life. And say, I have this brokenness, I need your help, I need your life. He does that for like perpetually. Like, and you know, that's the nature of spiritual life, to say, God, I don't want to live independent of you. I need you. I need you to keep flowing in me and through me back into the world. Otherwise, I'll go back to my brokenness. You know, is that? So I don't think it's a...
That's perfect, and that's one of those things that we were talking about the other night where I'm like, yeah, I learned a lot. Now, I'm going to pause so I can...
Is this what you're talking about? Because I
it's
feel
fucking
like I'm probably...
perfect, dude. It's exactly what I was going for.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to pause so that it doesn't stop filming. Now, what I want you guys to do, if you have any questions that you would want answered from Rev on his channel, or maybe it would happen on this channel, I don't care, but if you have questions you want answered, put them in the comments. I'm going to pause the video and we're going to get right back into it. Alright, we're back. Now, was there anything you wanted to add to that last part?
No, I'm good.
That was pretty solid.
Let's do like the 30-second version next time. Sorry. Yeah, like,
Dude,
this is something, I'm not sorry in the sense of sorry, I'm just like, this is
do
something
YouTube
that,
shorts on your channel.
Yeah.
And get it with that, and that's a good way to do the 30-second ones. But that's exactly that's what I like to hear.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so now, man, we're on Max Lozano's channel, Max's Path. Go subscribe to that too. We did a video on there. I'll link that in the description.
Is it already up?
I don't know, but it will be. I'm sure by the time I get this,
maybe he might watch it and be like, I don't know.
No, I'm sure he'll post that. But we were talking about purpose. So, he already covered it pretty well with us. Anyways, that was a video I wanted to make 2 hours long, but it's okay. So for you, what we have free will, right? And you have it both as a man and as a Christian. And now when we think about our purpose,
I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
But if I were to say in the philosophical sense, because I think it's a mistake to say free will or determinism, right?
Okay.
So like if you're doing
describe determinism.
Determinism is what's going to happen is destined, and you're going to do what's kind of baked into you, because you're going to, like the nature and nurture conversation.
Yeah.
You're ultimately going to live into your nature, regardless. That's what the determinist would say, right? But I think, if we're honest, nature and nurture are both at play, right? So I think that false dichotomy is important. But if you were to say, Norris, are you closer to the free will side or closer to the determinist side? If you're in the Christian conversation, are you closer to the free will side or closer to the sovereignty of God side? I would be closer to the sovereignty side, closer to the determinist side than, like, I'm all in on free will, I'm all in on personal responsibility, and I think it's a huge mistake to make these two things but if you're like philosophically, you got to pick a camp and argue for it. I'm going to argue for determinism if I'm just trying to win a debate. Like that's where I'm going to land. So just full disclosure, cards on the table.
So by that, do you mean like basically God is in control?
Yeah, but like even if I didn't believe in God, like I think that there are logic holes in both sides of these arguments, and I think the determinist argument holds a little bit more water than the free will argument if you're just doing mental gymnastics with philosophy too.
So what is the free will argument to, like, just if we could 30-second that one?
It's just 30 seconds is
not enough.
Ultimate responsibility. People, like, it's full on. It's just humanism. It's the modern understanding of, like, things are going to progressively get better because education and technology is going to save us all.
Yeah, that's one of the things too, is like, because I know I've mentioned a couple of things to you, you're like, whoa, I never even knew that was going on, some of the things that really agitated me going on in America.
So if free will without anything else was good enough, if personal responsibility was good enough, then the more resources humans have,
the better it would be.
The better we would get.
Yeah.
But that's clearly not the case.
No, and it's like, like I made a meme, it was the Pornhub logo, but it says sedation, like, sure, that may, kind of give you some endorphins or whatever, but that is not happiness, It's like I have that.
Sure feels like happiness for a minute though.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm just trying to be real.
Yeah,
you know?
no, it's totally real, and for men especially, it's such a hard struggle. You can't hit search on Instagram without crazy, without basically.
You don't have to look
porn
for it; it's going to
popping
come find you.
up. Yeah, it's everywhere. You have to like.
I mean, dude, go to the SHOT Show.
Oh,
Go to SHOT Show and just show up, and somehow, some way, your phone's going to start blowing up with opportunity, like just because of your regional and the way your phone works. If you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, it's just gonna. You're in Vegas, boom. There's a reason why they call it Sin City, bro. Like you're gonna have, strippers and porn stars and prostitutes just flooding.
Yeah.
Like no matter who you are, you are in the demographic. You're a dude in this area. You're an opportunity to make money. You're a mark. Like you don't have to look for it. It's coming to you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And so like I don't know where I was going for. Oh yeah. So okay. So being able to, that's a part of controlling. Because you do have will over that.
Yeah.
So you can choose to go that sedation route. You can watch TV all day. I have a struggle with. I love YouTube videos. I could watch YouTube all day, and so I try to not look at my phone for at least an hour in the morning. That's something both Yeager and John Willis mentioned a couple years ago, and I've tried to do my best to do that, and it made a big difference.
But there's almost always a category of somebody's life that they know is weak.
Yeah.
That they can't seem to use personal discipline or fortitude or respond. Like they've taken ownership over it, but every time they start, somehow, some way, years late, maybe it's diet, maybe it's and sometimes it's a lot more important than that.
Yeah.
That like people are like some of us have functional addictions and some of us have non-functional addictions.
Yeah.
But if people are honest, everybody's got something.
Yeah, I have two right here.
Right.
A caffeine and nicotine. And it's real hard.
So, and so that's why I say that if I have to pick one side, the free will argument has more holes in it to me. It breaks down sooner. That like your personal autonomy is really important from a freedom standpoint. We're talking about the big picture of what should be for human society. But if you think that it's sufficient to get us all the way to what culture and community needs, you need to be acted upon. That's why I say you need others, not just a group of people around you, accountability, but you need, I think, something transcendent that's impacting that too. I think you need God in the equation too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so kind of the way I was going with it is like you can choose. You can choose to go down and that route of pleasure.
Yeah, choose your own adventure. Those books were awesome when I was in. Did you ever see those books?
No, but I think I've had different
there's like four stories or 5 storylines, and you can like read the same book 3 times or 4 times because you like if you want to make this decision, go to page 32. If you want to make this decision,
there's a lot of small video games and stuff that were like that. Like I go right or left or straight or But like you can choose to go that route of pleasure, and it may be good at first, but that's not quite happiness. Sedation is not happiness, and even with that, one of the struggles with it is something that I'm going to explore more with this channel is the way we are influenced, because that is a big thing. Like you don't understand, it's hard to get it. Like advertisers understand this pretty well. How many times do I have to show the product to someone before they choose to buy it? How many times, like, okay, our children in school, how much of an influence does that curriculum have over your children? Where it's now you aren't so much, as a parent trying to educate and lead your child, but now you're trying to fight against things that are within our culture that are harmful to them. Like that book I was describing where they're showing gross stuff to kids, like horrible stuff, but that's a reality we are facing now. Where's your mind going on it?
I think you're talking the root and fruit conversation.
Okay.
So like I think you're talking about like so many times we're fighting the fruit. We're cutting off and cutting off and cutting off, and the same fruit keeps growing in our society. Like it keeps like showing back up, and we're never dealing with the deeper thing that this is coming from. So like you're talking about the sedation that people are after, like maybe a man or a woman is like dulling their life with the sedation of pornography or any substance or whatever, like, but and they're battling that, but they're never seeing what are they after, what are they trying to resolve in their life. And there's a root that's actually far deeper, that they're not really after and they might laugh and say, yeah, they are, but they're not really after the orgasm. Like that's not they think they are. They're really after something else. Maybe it's boredom, like we talked about. Maybe it's loneliness. Maybe it's like they're trying to. There's for every person. There's like I started to learn this years ago when I was working with students, and the cutting epidemic was huge.
Cutting themselves.
So self-harm.
Yeah, I've seen that.
In the 90s was in early 2000s. I started to have more and more teenagers coming to me hurting themselves, and at that time the word in the counseling community or the coaching community, whatever you want to call it, was pretty one-dimensional. Like it was like, here's the reason why they're doing that, and then fortunately they weren't the only people talking that way. The word at that time was like they're looking for something that they can have control over in their life. They're often dealing with chaos, they're dealing with a difficult home life, they're dealing with it, and so this is a way that and normally they feel like they're having pain that's outside of their control. Maybe they're being molested, maybe they're being abused, maybe they're whatever, but they're dealing with pain that's outside of their control. So this is some pain that they can be in control of, and that's sometimes true, but it's pretty myopic to think that's the only reason, that's the only root, that it was the only. So I found all kinds of motivators for people, and it was as diverse as the individual, but it was never about cutting themselves.
Nope.
It was always about something else. So people don't look at themselves very honestly, and they have a real hard time. The Bible says it this way: the heart is deceptive and desperately wicked, who can know it? It's like you're kind of lying to yourself.
Can you say that one more time?
The heart is deceptive and bent toward wickedness, or desperately wicked, who can know it? And a fair summary of that is, if you think you really know yourself enough to be completely honest with yourself, you're lying to yourself. Like we can know ourselves, but we need like a reference point, like I was saying, like a Jesus, or we need something to be able to contrast, to be able to say, oh, this line is plumb, this is a true north, this is to say, I'm just going to compare myself to where I was, or where, that's good, but it's not good enough, right? So we like to know yourself is a good idea, and it's a good aspiration, but all of us lie to ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just it's just an important thing to be able to say, what is the thing that's driving me to this desire to dull my life experience or to live sedate? And there's always a root, and we often just focus on the fruit in ourselves and in broader society. And so we keep doing war against something that's surface level, like that angers us, but we don't actually get to like the foundational level of what we're going to have to change to make things right in the culture that's clearly diseased. That's where my mind was going, the root and the fruit kind of conversation, when you're talking about what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Now, what do you think about, let's just say just America, right? Because like we don't, it's hard for us to understand the whole world, but we understand American culture pretty decently.
Yeah.
As far as what we can see in the media.
Yeah.
What do you think it is for America that kind of along the lines that you're saying? What is it that we need?
With the media?
Well, just, because America's going down a dark path, I feel. And, So, there's a surface level things where we can look and be like, hey, this party says this thing, and then our party doesn't do this stuff, and
Okay.
But what do you think at a deeper level? Like, what do you see?
So the church is called to be salt and light. So I think at one level we need a spiritual awakening, which is the church being on mission as it's intended to be. So I think that honestly we've commercialized the church, and we've taken it off of mission. We've been really self-focused as a Christian community. So from a one level, we say be introspective first. So speaking to my tribe first, I think we have a need for repentance or revival among followers of Jesus in America. I want to be careful to not, some people would say very nationalistically that like Christianity in America one and the same, right? Like, and I definitely think this country is founded on Judeo-Christian ethics and principles, and I think that's good for America. I think you need a structure to build a society on, and that's a good structure. And so if that's what you mean by this is a Christian nation, I'm cool, I'm in, But I think it's important that though we're talking about Christianity in modern culture, America as a secular society more and more, there is a from a freedom standpoint, there is an important thing that I think Christians should hold to, and that gun culture does hold to, that like I don't want to see a society that is taking Christianity and forcing it on, like in a political way, forcing it on. So I don't want anything forced on. I don't think you can, because I think people believe what they believe, not what they're told to believe.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's ever worked. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not what I'm saying when I'm saying Christians need to be what they're called to be, and we need a spiritual awakening within the church, a repentance, a revival, whatever you want to call it. I think that's because I think that will help model for the rest of the world. Hey, here are some solutions. I think the gospel is a solution. I think it is the solution to say, this is what would compel people to love well. Not transactionally, but like to legitimately be for the good of other men and women, a good neighbor, like in the truest sense. I think that's super healthy. I think it's a mistake to think that Christians are the ones that are doing that best in America right now. I think some good Christians are doing that, but to be perfectly honest, I know people that are atheists that are probably better neighbors than some Christians that I know, and so that shouldn't be. So we've got to fix that from somebody that cares about the church's standpoint. But the big picture for America, I think we need at a secular level an awakening of personal responsibility, like that we're not looking to something else to resolve someone else in the sense of the country, or someone else in the sense of our government or our mayor or our president or whatever to resolve. Like this is our country. We're a movement of citizens, and the government was made for us, not us for them, and we've got to get back to that. We're very upside down right now. We've got to get back to that if we're going to fill our role as Americans. But those two things I think work together, but they're not the same conversation. Like being an American and being a Christian. You can be a good Christian in every culture around the world, and I'm just talking about being a Christian in America now. You're right. Like I could go be a Christian and follow Jesus in Russia, in Ukraine, in South America, in South Africa, in Canada. No matter what level of freedom we have, following Jesus is going to look really similar in different contexts.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be about obeying the government, although we do have to live as good citizens in whatever government we're planted in, right? Like that's so.
Absolutely. Now, yeah, because and that's something else we discussed, and that's something that when you brought that up, that it's like we can't legislate Christianity, right? Like, I was like, thank you, because that's.
It's a huge mistake. We shouldn't want to.
No, and you actually got at the point right there too, is where like when you work on ourselves first, and it's something that like it solidified when I first heard it on Real AF podcast, Real Andy Frisella, and that's like if you want to fix what's going on, fix yourself, fix your family, and fix your community.
Come on, yeah. I haven't heard that podcast, but I'm gonna check it out.
Dude, you'll love it. I swear.
My personal mission statement, or my what they call in pastoral world philosophy of ministry, is 3 words. It's real simple faith. So that authenticity, I couldn't resonate more with me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man. So I think I want to do another video separate from this one.
I
then
feel
I
like
want to do
it's
another
too long,
one,
man.
For combat archery. But again, thank you for watching. Watch AmmoMountain on YouTube. AmmoMountain is one word. Go subscribe.
Thanks,
there.
man.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
For real. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys have been outstanding, and like for real, I want to do like 150 videos with you right now.
Cool. Well, that would be real easy if you just came and lived here, which is an open invitation. Don't tell Laura.
But the more time we spend here, we're like, wow. I mean, we need to build this in Florida. Like, we need what you guys have in every state. We need it 10 times bigger.
Yeah, that land right there is for sale, though, man.
I know. So buy some nylon gear from combat.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, for real. Thank you.
I'll
thank
help you
so
build
much.
a spot right in the woods next to us, man.
I love that, dude. That's for real. But yeah, thank you for having us. Thank you for answering the questions. Thank you for doing this video and everything you're gonna do for us in the future. Like,
thank you for. Like, this is a two-way street, and thank you for, like, you've been teaching me just as much as I've been learning. I know you don't think so, but man, today, 3 or 4 things. You should do this. You should set up the gun this way. You should, like, I'm learning so much.
I'm sure you know it. And
no, I'm learning so much, and I'm so grateful.
No,
it's been awesome. I can't wait to take classes from you, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I can't wait to take classes with you. And if you teach classes someday, I will be there.
Come to church, man. I'm not teaching any classes in this world. Like, I am a perpetual student in this world.
Okay, right on. Me too. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, man.
To the Rev to the limit. Again, maybe we can get him to change the channel back to that. I don't know. I love that name, but it's still on. But yeah,
my name is still that. The channel is just not that. It's like, that was always just a handle for like me watching YouTube videos. It was never intended to be the channel name. So,
but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I don't really have a closeout line yet, so
don't waste your life.
Yep, I was about to ask you to do that, but yeah, that's his closeout line. Don't waste your life. You have one life, and for real, make something of it.
You can have it, man. Just use it. No, or teach good people to kill bad people, or what is yours? No. His is
since '99.
He's ready to be ready to. What is it? To be
your responsibility to be ready for the fight
never ends.
Yeah. I'm fine with any of that. Just to honor James Yeager.
To honor James. Yeah. Like, so let's do it together, and so because we are like, he's a mentor. Like, we're not like, we are so kissing up right now. James, if you watch this, we're kissing up because we love you, man. Okay, so your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.
All right, thanks, guys.